Jeff, I just love your rocker. This is just gorgeous.
Thank you.
Tell me about it. Tell me about what you did.
Well, it started pretty far away from this. So this is where the rocker design really began. I built this very crude prototype, and I had different sized rockers and different shapes for the rockers, and I tried different seat shapes and adjusted things back and forth and moved the rockers in and out and back and forth and up and down until I came up with something that was, to my mind, very comfortable.
That's interesting. You start here, something that wouldn't sell.
Not at all, not at all. But I needed to
learn.
I needed to learn what was going on. And a rocking chair is so complex in the interaction, as you know very well, is so complex in the interaction between seat and back and the rockers and how it rocks and how much it tips back, that I really felt like I needed to start at ground zero with this. So the next thing I did was I took the side off of my ground zero here, and I traced the important curves, the seat, the shape of the back, and the rocker onto this piece of foam core, ratty as it is. And from that started to generate the lines. And I spent a lot of time with pencil and eraser. I've traced over the important lines here with a marker, but spent a great deal of time fooling around trying to come up with something that actually looked like what I wanted it to look like. I had something in mind for how I wanted this to look. And this is what I came up with. And then I had lots more work to figure out what was going on. This joint is pretty crazy because all three of these components actually wind up coming down all the way to the rocker. For structural purposes, this has to have the integrity of coming all the way down to the rocker, as do the others. And so that joint took me quite a while to figure out. Figuring out the shapes of each of these components and then the refinements of the edges and different treatments for every element was something that took time and in some cases took different generations.
Which components are laminations and which components are solid?
So the lamination, which is something I've done a lot of over the years, the rocker is a lamination, and then all of these bent components, the front leg that loops around, the arm support, and the back legs. And then the others, the arms, the seat, the crest rail, and the slats are solid.
That's beautiful. Now, what's the next step?
The next step here involved sort of a three-dimensional sketch. And it was something that was cobbled together out of 1/4-inch plywood and scraps of whatever wood I happened to have around, and built up something that at least let me know that I was on the right track, that three-dimensionally that this was going to start to work out and be something that I would continue to want to pursue. So walking a little further down the path and making some choices and making sure I was still going down the path in the right direction. And that indeed was the case, and I then made some bendings based on this out of 1/8-inch bending plywood that I laminated together, something that I could deal with very quickly, and started cutting and shaping that and seeing where that was going. And then refinement and putting more things together and seeing where it goes and spending more time with it.
We have seen over and over again in this Masters series that so many of the great makers like yourself, they use modeling.
I don't know how you figure out something and evaluate how it's going without going through many generations of the particular ideas that you're working with. And all of the great pieces of furniture that we know today, we know them not because of their first iterations, but because of their 7th or their 70th or their 700th iteration, because that's how it gets to be refined. That's how all the details get worked out. You can't work it all out. the first time through. And it's intense sometimes because it's out somewhere where people haven't necessarily explored before. It's also the way I've gotten better as a woodworker because I'm not limited to what I know. I'm instead striving for what I want it to be.